Horizon Chance, home studio X, and this is Iran launches attacks on US base in Qatar in wake of strikes. Okay, what the fuck? This is the worst option they could have chosen. Why would you choose a point blank fight against USA? Like, you could have done anything and you chose the worst option. This is just fucked up, man. People are saying in the comments like, oh, this is one of those things where they deliberately choose certain targets where nobody would actually get deleted, and they actually gave warning to Qatar in advance. So they're just trying to save face. You're trying to save face against USA? There is no saving face. USA is just like a million times stronger than you. Even if you're trying to do that, Trump's not going to let this go. Trump's gonna see this like, yeah, I told you to just do negotiation, but like you still keeping at it. I guess I'm gonna attack you again. This back and forth is not gonna end well for Iran. Like, it's USA, man. It's like USA is flying so high above everyone when it comes to military power, economical power, military power, anything. It's like USA is untouchable, right? Their logistics, their technology. Like, why would you fight? Why would you choose to fight against USA? I mean, I get it, like, the more simpletons would say, like, oh, USA attacked their bases. What are they supposed to do? I don't know. Negotiate. Try to, slowly back down. Because you don't fight USA. USA is too powerful. Right? This is not going to end well in any way. So, yeah, it's fucked up. This is happening. I don't know what Trump's response is going to be. I'm guessing he's literally, like, talking to the military generals and things, trying to think about what to do, what not to do. We'll learn about it, what's going to happen next. But, yeah, that's what it's on.
Let's now switch to Israel. Go to our chief foreign correspondent, Trey Yanks. He's live in Tel Aviv with the latest, not only from Israel, but what do you make of the fact that this appeared to be a pretty limited response, Trey?
Yeah, John, good afternoon. We're getting more information from regional sources right now on this Iranian attack targeting the Al Udeid air base just outside of Doha, Qatar. The latest information that we have, according to the Qatari Foreign Ministry, they say these missiles were intercepted over the Qatari capital of Doha. They say there are no injuries on the ground, and the Qataris are condemning this attack.
They better intercept, man, because that would actually piss me off if US can't intercept it. I get it, like, US has too many bases, but US would know where Iran would attack, and US better uses their Patriot and all the system. Because if there's one country who should intercept everything, it's USA, and they better do it. It's like, what's the point of using near $1 trillion of defense if you can intercept it? So yeah, they probably intercepted most of it.
Launched by Iran. This is significant, but not unexpected. The distance between Qatar and Iran is just over 100 nautical miles. And this is a large base, the largest American base in the region. And it had largely been evacuated, according to one source that we spoke with before this attack took place. The Americans understood that Qatar, Kuwait, and Bahrain could be on the top target list for the Iranians in any sort of response following those strikes that were ordered by President Trump to go out.
Hold up there, isn't Qatar rich? Qatar is rich, right? Like, what is Qatar's military? Wouldn't Qatar be like, you're attacking my own land? I get it is US bases, but still it's Qatar. Wouldn't they use this as like something like, okay, you attacked me, like, okay, I'm gonna attack you now? What is Qatar's military? I don't know. Rich or Qatar's rich, man?
After Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend. We're working to get some confirmation about reports that American bases in Iraq may have been targeted. But again, the information that we have about the Gulf is significant. There are air defense systems in Qatar, both the THAAD missile defense system and the Patriot system. And according to some initial video that we were...
Oh, THAAD is awesome. US doesn't have systems like S-300 or S-400 and shit like that, S-500, who's like all-rounder. US have its own dedicated system. THAAD is great when it's supposed to intercept cruise missiles and things like that. Patriot, I'm pretty sure, is like ballistic interceptor, who I think can intercept ballistic missiles. I don't know if it can stop ICBMs or something. Aegis, I'm pretty sure, can stop ICBMs and shit. But then again, does Iran have ICBM? I don't think they have ICBMs. Otherwise, they would be attacking mainland US or something. I don't think they can do that. So yeah, I mean, it's 100 miles away, so nautical miles, so yeah, something like that. So yeah, it's just like THAAD is there, Patriot is there, shit's gonna be fine.
Reviewed from sources in Doha, it looks like, if not all, but the majority of these incoming missiles were shot down overhead. In terms of what led up to this, we know earlier today the U.S. Embassy in Doha sent out an alert to American citizens in Qatar to shelter in place. Shortly after that, the airspace over this country was closed. You could see on flight radar maps a number of flights diverting to other regional airports. And again, that condemnation coming in from the Qataris. We're also monitoring Iranian state media.
If you stop the airport, shouldn't you turn off the light as well? Why are you telling them where the airport is? Then again, in modern world, like they know the radar and all that, but still.
This hour, who says that they launched this attack, calling it the annunciation of victory. Iranian state media also saying their military says this was a devastating and powerful attack. This is not unexpected propaganda to receive from the regime in Tehran, but again, an indication.
Yeah, I'm sure if a 6-year-old punches you, it's 6-year-old's devastating attack, but you don't feel much, do you? So yeah, when it comes to USA, what is a devastating attack from Iran? It's like, come on.
That the Iranians are looking to save face following this U.S. strike that went after their nuclear facilities over the weekend. Other regional countries, including Kuwait, Bahrain, and the UAE, do remain on high alert at this hour over concern that there could be further attacks on U.S. interests in the region. Of course, the Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. There are also...
I don't understand that concept, saving face. If it's like, if someone's equal or even perceived equal, like India and Pakistan, even though India and Pakistan are not equal, like if you just see stats, it's not even close, but it makes sense where Pakistan or someone like try to save face, so that dignity is there. Iran, US is not even close. It's like there is a way too many countries between them. Okay, let's think about saving face isn't what like, oh, US attacked me, so I attacked them back. So, I saved my face. Like, yeah, you can't fight USA. USA will basically stomp you. So saving face at what? Like, even your own people doesn't like really understand that, like, okay, I saved face, so what am I supposed to understand? Like, oh, US attacked you, so you attacked US, so you're equal? No, in point blank fight, US would crush you very easily. There is no saving face.
Thousands of American forces in Kuwait, and then the possibility that Iraq could be targeted as well. I can take you back to 2020 when the Americans ordered that drone strike against Qasem Soleimani outside of Baghdad's international airport. The Iranians responded then with 13 ballistic missiles against the Ain al-Assad air base in western Iraq. And so, of course...
Yeah, so this is nothing new, apparently. Yeah, this happened during that time, like 5 years ago or something. Yeah, this is just like, people are panicking like, oh shit, there you go. Iran's done, the US is gonna go war. Yeah, but this should happen at like that time as well. So nothing might happen from this. So it's not something to panic at. If you're Iranian, there's nothing to panic at. If you're American, there's nothing to panic at. Both sides are panicking because one doesn't want to go into war even though they are too powerful, and one doesn't want to be attacked by USA. So yeah, I think this is going to be fine. It's nothing, right? As far as I can tell. So 6 hours from now, I guess shit might change. The only problem is we don't know how Trump would interpret this. And yeah, a lot of things is on Trump's shoulder. Like he can decide like, no, I don't accept this, and attack back really strongly.
Missile defense systems across the region remain on high alert. Again, the Americans knew this was a possibility and largely evacuated much of their personnel from these areas. John, Sandra?
All right, just going through the Qatar response here. Qatar saying it reserves the right to respond after this Iranian attack. As John just reported, Qatar is saying no casualties from that attack at the U.S. military base. Thank goodness. And the top security...
Qatar is saying that. So Qatar is like, okay, you attack me, I'm going to attack you. Like, of course, they will have their own honor thing. Like, it doesn't matter if you attack US base, you attacked my country.
Body there, Iran's top security body there is saying the armed forces used the same number of bombs that the U.S. had used in attacking Iran's nuclear facilities. That is per the latest statement that we've been digesting, Trey. Please do weigh in on that. As John and I were just discussing, is what we're seeing, is this evidence of diminished capabilities on the part of Iran?
Look, the types of missiles that the Iranians are likely using against American interests in Qatar, as Jennifer noted, are some from their shorter range arsenal. Cruise missiles or possibly medium range ballistic missiles, but not the same missiles that they were using over the past 11 days to target major Israeli population centers. A Qatari source just sending me another statement that I do want to just read here.
I mean, why would you use ballistic missile for 100 miles? Like, probably it's cruise missile, right? Like 100 miles is like too close for a ballistic. I don't know. I think that's like, come on.
Live from a spokesman for Qatar's foreign minister saying, "We reaffirm that dialogue is the only way to overcome the current crisis and ensure the security in the region and the peace of its people remains." And so the Qataris still, amid all of this, encouraging diplomacy and dialogue in the region. They have been one of the leaders in the Middle East over the past more than 600 days, trying to de-escalate regional tension, bring all parties to the table, and ultimately find some sort of off-ramp, ceasefire agreements, or at least temporary understandings. But as this war develops between Israel and Iran, there is concern that this could spiral and continue, because we heard from President Trump directly, we heard from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, that any attack on American interests in the region would be met with a response. Everyone from American officials to current and former Israeli officials warned Iran against such an attack taking place. Now, while this is limited in nature, it certainly does bring this entire conflict into a new chapter and raises questions about how the Americans might respond.
Yeah, that's the thing. They might respond, so they're probably going to respond. It's like ego thing at this point, especially when you know Trump, like how, yeah, he's going to respond. This is what doesn't make sense to me. Like, Iranian could have just said, like, try to negotiate something. It's just like, okay, this is getting too much. Saving face, like, I don't get it. They're still trying to think like, like how Obama would act. I think Iran is thinking like, this is USA. I'm going to do this. They're going to try to like come back to the table and shit like that. Obama is not, Obama is not the president, right? Yeah, you need to think about what Trump would do. You can't be aggressing right now. Like, he would be aggressing even twice now, right? Like, you can't do this shit. He's not going to calm down like, okay, we destroyed bases, then Iran answered, we don't need to do anything. Yeah, Trump's not going to do that. So I don't get like why Iran is making constantly bad decisions after one another, right? This is insane. Like, there is no comparison when it comes to Iran and the US. There are many countries between that. Like, Pakistan is much stronger than Iran when it comes to military. India is much stronger than Pakistan. China is much stronger than India. USA is much stronger than China. Layers. And I was just jumping there when it comes to military power. I wasn't going by numbers. I was jumping multiple countries while doing that. How is Iran going to fight USA? If USA says, screw it, I don't care what people say. I don't care if my own people doesn't want war. Trump says, like, fuck it, we are at war. What is Iran going to do? What is going to happen then? Like, all USA has to do is like, 20% of military efforts there at the end. Okay, put 5 aircraft carriers there and few Marines, and there you go. Throw some Navy SEALs. That's just going to be devastating.
To this direct attack on their largest military base in the Middle East. This is a base that normally houses around 10,000 U.S. personnel. We have reported from the Al Udeid base just outside of Doha. It's about a 30-minute drive from the U.S. Embassy in the Qatari capital. And it's a place where there's a lot of coordination for U.S. Central Command. You might remember back in 2021 when those evacuation flights were taking place. Many of them were landing from Kabul, Afghanistan to Doha, Qatar at this airbase. And so it's a base that was built in the late 90s. It cost around $1 billion to build. And it is still owned by the Qataris, but it is, again, the largest American base in the region, and there is close coordination for U.S. Central Command done out of this base. It was largely evacuated before this took place, and again, according to a spokesman for Qatar's foreign ministry, no one
Okay, why is it changing color? First it was purple, now it's red. What is happening here?
was injured in this missile strike launched by Iran. But again, this shows that the Iranians are willing to respond directly to American interests in the region. And even before the war between Israel and Iran erupted 11 days ago, with this Israeli strike starting against the top IRGC officials, Iranian nuclear scientists, and of course, Iran's nuclear program, the United States was preparing for this possibility. You might remember about 2 weeks ago, President...
The United States, do all the possibilities. It's like one of the most paranoid country in the world, has been for past multiple decades. There's a reason for it. I mean, obviously, decent reason for it. But still, they see everything. They see all the possibility and prepare for all that. That is why, like, it's really fucked up to fight USA. Like, you don't want to do that shit. Like, they've thought of all the things that is possible, right? It's like Doctor Strange from, like, Endgame. I've seen all the possibilities, like this is what we're doing type of shit. Like that's how many organizations they have. That's how many military channels they have. Everybody has these different jobs to think about these things. So yeah, obviously they thought about this. And yeah, when I remember like when this shit started, when I think, was it Iran? Was it Hamas? I don't know. I think could be either. Just like bombarded Israel. And USA intercepted 99% of all of those ballistic missiles and drones. So of course, with the THAAD and Patriot now, it's going to intercept most of the Iranian thing. It just makes sense. This has happened just a few years ago, a couple years ago.
Trump ordered a partial evacuation of the U.S. embassy in Baghdad. There was a voluntary evacuation for the dependents of U.S. embassy personnel and military spouses and children in places like Bahrain and Kuwait. The United States understood that as a war would develop between Israel and Iran, that U.S. interests in the region could come under attack. And of course, with those U.S. strikes against the Iranian nuclear facilities, those 3 facilities over the weekend, the officials here have been bracing for such a response. Israeli officials, though, remain on high alert, understanding that this is certainly not the end of Iranian response as it relates to Israel. But as for American forces in the region, again, the latest information that we can report attributable to Qatari officials is that there were no injuries in these strikes that took place just earlier this hour.
Yeah, what does Iran have? Like, I'm like, comment down because I don't know about this. Like, besides ballistic missiles, what can they do that could be surprising? Because I don't know, if USA decides to respond to this and like they are using modern tech, like B-2s were just used, that shit doesn't happen that often. First time GBU bombs were used, what is it called, MOP bombs. I'm pretty sure this was the first time they were used. So Trump doesn't care about like preserving shit. They're just going to use the latest things. So I don't know, they might use F-22s if need be, but then again, that's like a direct attack if they're going to do that. I think what's going to happen here is like they might use something like Rapid Dragon, right? Because Iran has no air defense. Iran has no air supremacy right now. So US could literally just throw C-130 or shit and drop Rapid Dragons, multiple cruise missiles with such specific target. Just one batch of that, just one attack could destroy like, I don't know, like 20, 50 locations like that. And that's just one attack, just one sweep attack. And that's the accuracy they could have. And this is just one weapon US have compared to how many, like there's way too many they have, that this is just one thing. They could say, fuck it, let's do Rapid Dragon. The end. Iran might lose 80-90% of all their capabilities like that. So it's just weird fight. It's like some local gym fighter fighting Mike Tyson. How is that even gonna go?
And there is initial reporting coming in right now from the New York Times indicating that Iran coordinated the attacks with the American air base in Qatar, and Qatari officials gave advance notice that the attacks were coming to minimize the casualties. Again, that information attributable to the New York Times, but this is not surprising because they did a very similar coordination back in 2020 in response to the killing of Qasem Soleimani, that drone strike that President Trump ordered. This was meant to contain possible escalation in the region. And so we'll work on matching that reporting.
This is just weird to me, like military responses, but doing such a diplomatic way that they give heads up. So it's like symbolic at best. It's very weird when you really hear about it. Like it kind of makes sense, but still like, okay, are you trying to fool your own people? Like, see, we are also flexing, we also attacked. But they're like, I know what you did. We have internet. We just heard about it. Like you're doing this like just to save face. You weren't really trying to attack them. So what was the point of this?
From the New York Times, but it would not be surprising that the Iranians wanted to coordinate their response as to not drag more officials and militaries in the region.
Yeah. News like, 10 American soldiers were killed in this attack. That's it. It's over. It's over for Iran, because all the sentiment that people have, like we don't want to fight Iran in USA, would instantly change. All the people involved there. Most of the civilians would be screwed, like this is too much, we need to respond. That's Iran needs to watch out for that shit. Like you don't want to do that.
Into the current war that is escalating between Israel and Iran. Guys?
As you're on the air, Trey, and you probably can't see it, we're getting some pretty spectacular footage of the missile intercepts there.
Yeah.
We don't know if it was all just American Patriot missiles or if there were other anti-missile devices that were set up into the sky as well, but it's looking...
What are them? Like, yeah, it's Patriot and THAAD, probably.
Very much like Israel did over the last couple of weeks. Apparently, the Iranians have given this a name, Operation Fatah's Blessing, against the American Al Udeid air base in Qatar. This question to you. So we saw the response at the Al-Assad air base, and somewhere up to 17 missiles fell on the Al-Assad air base. The fact that this was very limited, Iran says we matched the number of missiles to the number of bombs that were dropped on Iran. We had a number of 6 given to us by the Israelis, which would be far below the number of bombs that were dropped on Iran. I mean, does this suggest that this is merely a symbolic response so that the Iranian regime
What is that? Why is it like stuck there? Is it like moving slow? It's like very distant.
can
Away.
say we punched
it's far
America
away.
in the nose, whereas really, I mean, they didn't even ruffle a hair on our forehead.
Yeah, absolutely. And they do this often to try and contain possible escalation in the region. We were on the ground in Baghdad, Iraq, when that other ballistic missile attack took place back in 2020. And there was an understanding that American interests could be moved. There was a warning to U.S. troops to prepare to get into shelters. There were a lot of minor injuries for forces then from the blast of those missiles back in 2020. But this coordination does take place to try and contain escalation. And in terms of Iran's capabilities across the region, it's important to remember that Iran still, despite the fact that Israel and the United States have gone after Iranian interests within their own country, and the Israelis have gone after these ballistic missile launching positions and other IRGC capabilities, weapons storage facilities, for example, the Iranians still have the ability to operate from other countries. They can through their proxies, these Iran-backed.
That's the thing. What have they? What have they been doing, man? The proxies, Hezbollah, and everything. What have they like? People told me like, oh, these proxies are also pissed off at Iran, so they're not helping. I mean, I don't know if that would be the case because that's not how any of this works. They can't just do that, otherwise it's ramifications. I'm seriously confused by Iran and Iran's tactics in the past. Iran's have had F-14s. Why didn't they buy Sukhoi 30s and shit like that from Russia? They could have done that, especially they had advantage when it comes to Ukraine-Russia thing, where Russia was relying on Iran when it comes to drones and things. They could have easily like got them cheaper or something. Why didn't they try to buy it from China? Like, I'm pretty sure like China, they would have had decent relations because that's how their axis works. Why didn't try to buy S-400s from Russians? Let's say Russians didn't want to sell them, but after the Ukraine thing, where they needed Iran when their drones, they could say like, yeah, give me S-400s. Because India-Pakistan thing, S-400 worked really well. We don't know how well because it was like India also used their own indigenous system. But S-400 worked really well with this electronic system and radars against Chinese weapons. So yeah, it could have been something. So they had old S-300s, they have F-14 Tomcats. They only have ballistic missile and like drones. That's it. So what is it? Kamikaze drones. They have all this oil money. What are they doing, man? And they are mostly their military, like they're working this dictatorship, so they don't have to worry about if people are going to be pissed off if they're wasting money or not. Look at Pakistan. They're asking for bailout from everywhere, and they're still increasing spending in military. Why? Because military runs the government in Pakistan. Who's going to say no? Iran could have done shit like that. Like I just saw a real life load video on history of Iran versus USA. If this shit has been happening for a long time, even the US's invasion of Iraq is kind of offshoot of that, in a way. Iran could have done all this. Why didn't they do it? I don't understand.
Iraqi and Syrian Shia militias launched limited attacks with missiles and rockets toward American interests in the region. And there are no reports indicating that that has taken place. And so Iran still has the ability to ratchet up the pressure against American interest in the Middle East. But it appears here they are trying to coordinate some possible response as to not drag the United States more directly into the fight. There's an understanding that the Americans have a capacity and they have weapons that the Israelis do not have and a willingness, if American forces...
No shit. What the fuck is even that? Oh, Americans have certain weapons that Israel doesn't have. Yeah, that's the understatement. Americans have something that most countries don't have. That apply that to all categories you can think of.
Or interests in the region come under attack to get more directly involved in the fight. And the regime in Tehran has been extremely...
If a country uses $2.5 billion US one plane, multiple planes like that, if a country has that, don't fuck with it. $2.5 billion just for one plane. Such a badass plane that nobody can touch it. Such a stealthy plane that nobody can detect it. Made by Northrop Grumman with the, what is that, like, they have these certain things in the back. They made like, so heat can't be detectable on radars and shit. Northrop is doing all that like mysticism and all that fucking thing. Yeah, that plane, right? And they're making another version of it. Probably already made it B-21, which is like even better than B-2. I don't know how that works. Yeah, you don't want to fuck with that.
weekend, following the 11-day campaign that the Israelis have launched not only against their nuclear facilities, but also against top IRGC officials. Remember, in that opening wave, the Israelis took out nearly the entire chain of command for the IRGC Air Force commanders in the Iranian capital of Tehran. We've spoken with top Israeli intelligence officials who have described to Fox News how they are systematically hunting down Iran.
I like how those intercepts are direct attack. Like there are many types of like air defensive. One of the air defense is like that VT fuse type thing that like Patterson talked about. How it comes close proximity and then just explodes, so you don't have to directly attack something. A lot of anti-air defenses are like that. But I like how in this one, I don't know if it's THAAD or something, directly targets the thing. That's the pinpoint accuracy it have.
Iranian officials. And this gives you a sense of how their military chain of command has been decimated over the past week and a half. And so they're still able to coordinate this response. There is an understanding that this is a very large country, more than 90 million people in Iran. And so, of course, they knew that if there was going to be a regional war, it would come in waves. And so they have capabilities. They still can target U.S. interests in the region.
It's very interesting that Iran shares border with Pakistan and Afghanistan. That's something.
But again, it appears today that they've tried to limit this with just targeting initially this U.S. base just outside of Doha, Qatar. And according to reports, coordinate their response as to not drag the United States into the war more directly. Guys?
All right. Trey, also just want to get this in here. Bahrain now says it has shut down airspace temporarily amid fears of retaliation by Iran against these U.S. attacks. Also, Rich Edson reporting for us has just informed us that President Trump is not yet in that situation, the situation room for that security meeting. So we do anticipate.
Mr. President, Iran has attacked. Your word? I'm gonna drink coffee here and I'll go back to operation room a few hours from now. We don't need to rush. Yeah, there you go.
That is still happening, but we haven't gotten yet word that he has entered that meeting. Trey, we'll get back to you very shortly.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, this has been very interesting so far. Yeah, Iran is trying to save face. Like, it's clear based on this news, right? So people are right. I still don't get it. Like, it's a gamble when it comes to Trump. I'm not trying to say anything negative of Trump. People are different. Trump is different. And Trump is one of those guys, like, you don't want to fuck with me type of guy, right? It depends on, like, how his mood is. I don't even know. Most time, even he says, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. You don't know what I'm going to do. Even I don't know what I'm going to do type of shit. So, yeah, you could just say, like, you know what, screw it. I don't care. Military people told me, like, responding to this is better. And, like that's where the wind is blowing. I'm going to respond. Throw F-35s and few aircraft carriers. There you go. You know what, Rapid Dragon. And many other 50 secret shit that we have going on. Certain things we're thinking in Area 51. Some dark star type of plane that goes to Mach 8 or something. There you go, USA. It's like alien attacked you. You won't even know what the fuck happened. Shit like that. Like, you don't know what the US is going to do. Fighting USA is just insane too. It's just like, yeah. If I heard like India suddenly trying to, fighting with USA, I'm like, have you lost your fucking mind? Like, that shit would never happen. Just like surrender at that point. India is much more powerful than Iran, like top 5 military powers. And that doesn't like, yeah, it's like putting a dent on like USA type of shit. China is like the closest thing, like to military rival USS right now. And even that, like, no, you don't do that. Especially with like how Chinese equipment work in India-Pakistan war. Yeah, China thing might be inflated. All those military numbers might be inflated. Don't try to fight USA. US has way too much experience. So, yeah, US is literally like flying on top. It's like that period of time where Tiger Woods was untouchable. Doesn't matter. You don't need to watch the, like the golf show. Just end result, Tiger Woods are number 1. That's it. See who's second and third. That's more fun thing. Because first is going to be Tiger Woods. That's what US has been for 8-9 decades now. Alright, well, there was Iran launches attack on USA. Who knows what Trump going to do. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. If you like my channel, don't forget to subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time.